a little break here before we bring in our guest. Yesterday, Joe Biden, we gave him...
Can't get enough Joe Biden
Can't get enough Joe Biden. We saw him deal with the 3-year-old. Here's how he dealt with the daughters of incoming senators.
All of you women under the age of 30, no dates until you're 30. Just remember, no dates till you're 30. Just remember, no dates till you're 30. No dates till you're 30. Now, girls, there's only one thing I got to tell you. You're not allowed to have any dates till you're 30 years old. Remember, no dates till you're 30 years old. No dates till you're 30. Just remember, no dates till you're 30. Remember, no guys till you're 30.
There you have it from Joe Biden. No dates till your 30s, and I'm sure his daughter must have loved bringing boys home in high school.
Well, he was a senator when he was 30.
I can't imagine he was any less tough there back then. We're joined now by National Journal's Major Garrett. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's great to be with you. I have 2 daughters who accidentally met Joe Biden at Blessed Sacrament Parish in upper Northwest D.C. Got the exact same line.
Locked up until they're 30.
So it's not just for ceremony.
It's fantastic.
Chatter at the Senate. He says it to just about any young lady
Not
he runs into.
political rhetoric.
Exactly.
He means it. You have an exclusive tomorrow, some content in the National Journal on the incoming speaker, John Boehner. Can you give us a little flavor of what we can expect tomorrow?
A little bit. I don't want to give it all away, but a little bit of a teaser. What I talk about in the piece is how rapidly John Boehner and his leadership team, who approached leadership much more quietly than Newt Gingrich and Dick Armey did. They strategically decided to approach power and this gavel and this changeover much more quietly and with much less bravado than Newt Gingrich did. They're not talking about a revolution. They're talking about incremental change to undo the Obama administration's many accomplishments. But already they're running into difficulties. Let's talk quickly about the health care repeal vote. That will be debated under a closed rule, which means amendments will not be permissible on the House floor. So Democrats cannot have an amendment that says, well, all right, get rid of everything but the pre-existing condition. Get rid of everything but the seniors' drug benefits. Get rid of everything but the 26-year-old children on their parents. The Republicans don't want to debate that. So already they are going against some of their campaign rhetoric, which was to be an open, transparent House with lots of amendments and lots of debate. So on this key issue, they're already beginning to dial back what they promised to the voters. They're also doing that on spending cuts, and these fissures, though not enormous, are indicative of the struggles that Speaker Boehner is going to have, not only achieving what he promised, but keeping his coalition together.
Democrats are already calling hypocrisy immediately, saying first week.
Right, that is the, of course, stated position of any opposition party.
But then we have that debt limit vote coming up. Boehner called that an adult moment, and I think that might have rubbed some of the base, particularly in the Tea Party, the wrong way. Here's going to be the fascinating question for John Boehner. If he uses the debt ceiling vote as leverage with the Obama administration to say, look, if you will agree to sign, Mr. President, X, Y, and Z spending cuts, smaller than his Tea Party members want, but actually real, because the Senate will then pass them and the President will sign them. That's a real accomplishment with a real cut in spending, with the President on board. Or he could say, well, we'll do the debt ceiling, and then we'll do all these other spending cuts that make my rank-and-file members happy, but have no chance in the Senate, and therefore will never reach the President's desk. How do you play this game? 3 levels of chess or 1 game of checkers? What's your anticipation? How does he play that game? I think the Speaker will try the latter course to get real cuts that the President agrees with, use this unique leverage that he's given by this debt ceiling vote. It works for Republicans if they negotiate with the President, say, look, I can get you these votes if you give me these spending cuts. And if the President goes along, then you have bipartisanship, deficit reduction, but you may not have the numbers that his rank-and-file, Tea Party-inspired, sort of animal spirit, energized freshman Republicans want. Well, look into
That's
your
the
crystal
difference
ball.
between rhetoric and movement and real action.
What's a dollar figure, though? How many tens or hundreds
Well, look,
of billions
they promised
of dollars?
$100 billion in the first year, and they're already backtracking from that by a factor of half. And I don't believe right now the freshman Republicans are of a mind to back away from that $100 billion. That's going to be an internal conversation they're going to have. They're going to have to reconcile that and unify, because if they're not unified, they can't negotiate from a position of strength with the White House. And every White House knows what's your coalition, how can you keep it together. And if you can't, we don't have to negotiate.
We have just about 45 seconds left, but you covered the White House for several years.
Yes.
You covered President Obama. What does all of this change mean to you, bringing in Bill Daley, the outgoing...
It's a recognition of reality. The first 2 years, as you indicated in the open of the show, was about achievements, legislative accomplishments, laws on the books. The next 2 years about preparing for the re-elect and winning the 2012 election, and that's what this team and that's what Bill Daley is about.
Major Garrett from National Journal, thanks very much for joining us on Top Line. I'm Zach Wolf, Z Byron Wolf on Twitter.
Karen Travers, at Karen Travers on Twitter.
We'll be back tomorrow on Top Line.
Thanks so much for joining us.